What is the focus of focusing on yourself? A question that seems simple, yet, if you reflect deeply, you will realize it touches upon a great paradox of life. Every day, we hear the advice to focus on yourself and live for yourself. But in the end, what does focusing on yourself truly mean? Where does its essence lie? In today's noisy world, the human mind is easily swept away. A single compliment can lift us with joy, yet a single criticism is enough to keep us awake at night. A trivial incident can ruin an entire day. We have grown accustomed to letting external circumstances control our happiness and our sorrow, like a fragile leaf tossed in the wind. And then, when exhausted, we tell ourselves, "I must focus on myself." Yet the question remains, where exactly should that focus be? The Stoics offered a simple yet profound answer. Do not seek to control the world, but master your own mind. We cannot command the wind, but we can hold firmly to the rudder. We cannot stop the waves, but we can adjust the sail. What matters is not the external world, but how we perceive and respond to it. And that is the true essence of focusing on yourself. To return inward and cultivate the mind, so that it becomes solid ground untouched by the storms of life. 1. Focusing on yourself. In today's life, focusing on yourself is a phrase often repeated. It appears in self-development books, in motivational videos, and even in the advice friends give one another. But there is a sad truth. Many people have misunderstood it, turning that phrase into either a mask for selfishness or an excuse for indulgence. Some believe that focusing on yourself means rejecting others, building an invisible wall to live only for yourself. But in reality, such indifference is not strength. It is merely a hard shell hiding inner fragility. A person insensitive to the world can never truly be called strong. Others think that focusing on yourself means polishing a glamorous outer image. They relentlessly decorate their shell with wealth, fame, and recognition. Yet, in truth, that is nothing but focusing on a shadow. A ceramic vase may gleam on the outside, but if it is hollow within, even the smallest collision will shatter it. People are the same. If one cares only for the exterior while neglecting the inner core, a single hardship is enough to make them collapse. Still, others cling to focusing on yourself as a way to legitimize their lack of discipline. They say, "I live for myself, I do what I want, I don't need rules." But in truth, that is not the focus. It is surrendering to emotions. Like a horse without reins, the more it runs, the sooner it exhausts itself. The Stoics made it clear, true freedom does not come from doing whatever you want, but from the capacity for self-restraint. So then, what does it truly mean to focus on yourself? The Stoics gave a clear answer. It is the act of returning to your inner center, the only place you truly have control. You cannot command praise or blame, nor can you change another's heart, but you can control how you think, how you respond, and which values you choose to live by. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Always remember that the people who irritate you are simply acting in the way they believe is right. As for you, you have the choice of your response. You are not compelled to be angry, not compelled to be distressed. Imagine your mind as a garden. If neglected, weeds of envy, anger, and fear will sprout, choking everything else. But if you patiently pull out each weed, nourish the tree of wisdom, and water the flowers of tranquility, that garden will gradually blossom. And when the garden within you blooms, its fragrance will spread outward, influencing the entire world around you." Epictetus, though born a slave, became a great philosopher. He once said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it within your own mind." His body could be chained, but his mind remained free. And precisely because he knew to focus on the only thing he could control, his inner self, he attained true freedom. Thus, focusing on yourself does not mean selfishness, nor vanity, nor indulgence. It is a patient and courageous journey, returning to train the mind so that it becomes a firm foundation. From that foundation, we can step into the world calm amidst chaos, resilient before challenges, and compassionate toward others. For the simple truth is this: if we do not focus on ourselves, we will live our whole lives like a rudderless ship abandoned to the mercy of storms. But when we learn to hold firmly to the helm, no matter how the wind blows or the waves crash, we still keep our chosen course. 2. Common mistakes. On the journey to regain inner balance, many people adopt focusing on yourself as a way of life. But not everyone understands it correctly. Many have unintentionally gone astray, turning this concept into a mask for indifference, an excuse for indulgence, or a stage to display a glamorous ego. These misconceptions have distorted the true value of focusing on oneself. The first mistake is believing that focusing on yourself means being indifferent or detached from others. Some build invisible walls and call that strength. But indifference is not steadiness. A closed heart is not peace, but weakness disguised as strength. The Stoics never advised us to live without feeling. On the contrary, they taught that when a person masters himself, he becomes a source of calm for those around him. Only when we are no longer swept away by negative emotions do we gain the clarity to treat others fairly and compassionately. The second mistake is equating focusing on yourself with polishing the exterior. In the age of social media, many have turned focus on yourself into a performance. They clothe themselves in layers of glamour, flaunt achievements, collect titles, and call that self-love. But all of it is only focusing on the shadow. Like a ceramic vase polished to shine on the outside but hollow within, the smallest collision will crack it. People who care only for the outer shell while neglecting the inner core will quickly collapse when true hardship arrives. The Stoics remind us, what must be refined is the soul, for the soul is what endures. The third mistake is using the concept of focusing on yourself to justify indulgence. Some say, "I live for myself. I do what I want. I don't need discipline." But that is not the focus. It is drifting. Like a horse without reins, the more it runs, the more it exhausts itself. A person without discipline will be dragged by emotions and lose direction. The Stoics understood, true freedom is not doing whatever one pleases, but the ability to govern oneself. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. The greatest and most dangerous mistake is focusing on the wrong center. Many believe they are focusing on themselves, but in truth, they pour all their attention into what lies beyond their control. Recognition, appearances, fame, possessions. That is like tending to the leaves while neglecting the roots as they dry out. When the storm comes, the tree will be uprooted. People are the same. If life is lived only for outward display, when adversity knocks, we will find ourselves empty. These misconceptions bring a profound lesson. Focusing on yourself does not mean building walls, polishing the shell, or indulging in feelings. Nor does it mean chasing after what lies outside your control. The Stoics remind us that to focus on yourself is to return to the center, to master thought, to master response, to live true to values. Only then can we truly stand firm in life. 3. the true focus. After clearing away common misconceptions, we are left with the essential question. If focusing on yourself is not indifference, not a glamorous facade, and not indulgence, then where does the true focus lie? The Stoics left us with a simple yet enduring answer. Focus on what you can control. And the only things we can always control are our thoughts, our responses, our discipline, and our values. These are not abstract concepts, but the foundations of daily living. First, there are thoughts. The way we perceive events determines whether we suffer or remain at peace. A rain shower may be an annoyance to one person but a joy to another. The event itself does not change, but thought transforms it into two opposite experiences. Thought is like a lens. When the lens is clouded by comparison, fear, and prejudice, the world appears distorted. But when we cleanse it with reason and awareness, the light of truth shines through clearly. Next are responses. The Stoics understood that between stimulus and action, there is always a pause. In that pause, we hold the power to choose our response. Freedom is born there. The Stoics compared themselves to a mountain standing firm amid a storm. The wind may howl, thunder may roar, yet the mountain does not lose itself. One who knows how to focus on themselves is not ruled by anger or fear. They pause, observe, and then choose a response aligned with their values. Then comes discipline. If thought is the seed and response is the branch, then discipline is the root that nourishes the entire tree of life. A horse without reins will run wildly and quickly exhaust itself. Likewise, a mind without discipline will be dragged by emotions. Discipline is found in the small acts repeated daily. Rising a little earlier, writing a few lines in a journal, setting aside a few moments for silence. These simple practices, accumulated over time, become the bricks that build an inner fortress. And once that fortress is strong, no storm can topple you. Finally, there are values. Wealth, status, praise, and blame. These are but shifting winds, glorious today, gone tomorrow. Values are the compass. The Stoics built their foundation on integrity, justice, wisdom, and courage. Values are like a lighthouse in the dark, guiding a ship through the open sea. When we live by values, we stand firm, unshaken by gossip or upheaval. The true focus of concentrating on oneself, therefore, is neither escaping the world nor pleasing the world. It is the journey inward, training to become a stronger version of yourself within. Like a blacksmith patiently working on raw steel, striking blow after blow until from lifeless metal emerges a shining blade. So too with people. Each day we choose clearer thoughts, calmer responses, stricter discipline, and truer values, and the inner self is forged into strength. And in that strength, we touch true freedom, no longer bound by praise or blame, no longer trembling before temptation, no longer swayed by fear. For this power does not come from outside, but is forged within the place where the storms of life cannot reach. 4. Experience and reflection. To truly understand what it means to focus on yourself, we cannot stop at theory. Stoic philosophy was never created to remain idle on the pages of a book, but to be lived, practiced, and tested in the ordinary moments of daily life. Only through experience and reflection can we transform concepts into real strength. Let us begin with recognition. Recall a time when you lost your temper, a heated argument, a criticism that wounded you, or something as simple as being stuck in traffic during a storm. The feeling in that moment is unmistakable. as if the whole world were against you. But look closely, and you will see it was not the world controlling you. It was you who gave the world that power. The Stoics called this the moment we lose our inner self, like a ship that has let go of the rudder, left for the waves to carry. And so, the first step in focusing on yourself is learning to recognize the moments when you've let go of the helm. From recognition, we move to practice. A simple exercise is the 2-column practice. Take a sheet of paper and divide it into 2 parts. On the left, write what I control. On the right, write what I do not control. On the left, you will write my thoughts, my responses, my chosen actions, my upheld values. On the right, you will see praise or blame, the actions of others, luck, the weather, and unexpected changes. When complete, you will realize the truth. Most of your worries and fatigue lie in the right-hand column, in things that were never yours to command. This exercise becomes a mirror, reminding you to return and tend the inner ground, the only place where you truly have the power to sow and harvest. Then comes transformation. The Stoics never taught us to ignore the world, but to turn every event into an opportunity for training. When insulted, see it as a chance to cultivate calm. When failing, treat it as a lesson to refine yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Challenges, then, are no longer enemies, but teachers. The soul, like metal, becomes purified only through fire. An image easy to recall is the chessboard of life. On that board, you control only your own pieces, you never control your opponent's moves. The unwise player grows angry, blaming the opponent for ruining their plans. But the Stoic plays differently, calmly observing, then choosing the next move within what lies under their control. That is the very spirit of focusing on yourself, playing the game of life with wisdom instead of resentment. And once you go through these steps, you will discover the lesson. It is in the small moments, when you pause to observe your reaction, when you choose to breathe instead of explode, when you write down what belongs and does not belong to your control, that you are truly focusing on yourself. Gradually, you will notice the change. The trivial things outside no longer shake you so easily. Your mind becomes like a lake. Ripples still appear, but soon they settle, reflecting the clear blue sky. Experience and reflection is the bridge between philosophy and life. For Stoicism was never born to be a pretty theory, but to be a lamp illuminating each daily act. And in that very process, we discover the true essence of focusing on oneself, not to silence the world, but to train the mind to be steady and at peace amid the world's noise. 5. Stoic Stories. Stoic philosophy comes most alive when we see it in the lives of people. For if it remains only at the level of concepts, it will always stay dry and distant. But when reflected in reality, these ideas become a guiding light. And sometimes, just a single story can leave a deeper mark than 1,000 lectures. Let us begin with a familiar situation. A meeting at the office. You are presenting your idea when suddenly a colleague interrupts and criticizes you bluntly in front of everyone. In that moment, your face burns, your heart races, and you feel the urge to strike back to save face. If you give in to that reaction, the meeting will spiral into heated conflict. But if you step back, take a deep breath, you will see that criticism does not define who you are. It merely reflects the other person's perspective, perhaps rooted in their stress or bias. By choosing silence or responding calmly, you not only preserve your image but also demonstrate inner strength. This is the moment of focusing on yourself, placing composure and dignity above the desire to win or lose. Another example comes from sports. Imagine an athlete who has given everything for a competition, yet still fails. Outsiders quickly blame biased referees, uncooperative teammates, or sheer bad luck. But the Stoic-minded athlete does not. He returns to training, reviews every move, refines each motion, and continues to practice. He knows the outcome is never fully in his control, but preparation, effort, and spirit always are. Failure, then, is no longer an ending, but raw material for growth. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Adversity is an opportunity for the soul to train." Indeed, it is often in failure that we find the momentum to go further. A more relatable example, the image of a young person in the world of social media. Each morning, he opens his phone only to see friends flaunting luxurious travels, new jobs, and perfect romances. Within minutes, his initial joy turns into feelings of inferiority and unease. If he lets his mind be carried away by this cycle of comparison, he will remain a prisoner of hollow validation. But if he puts the phone down, chooses to learn a new skill, trains his body, or simply sits in silence, observing his breath, he will realize that true value lies not in how others live, but in how he disciplines and cultivates himself. That is focusing on oneself, letting go of borrowed measures, and building a genuine foundation for one's own life. History offers us powerful examples as well. Epictetus is perhaps the clearest proof of the strength of mastering the inner self. Born a slave, his body was abused by his master until he was crippled. A man in such circumstances had every reason to hate and to give up. But Epictetus chose another path. He understood that while the body could be chained, the mind could not. His master could shackle his limbs, but never his thoughts or his responses. By focusing absolutely on the one thing he could control, his mind, Epictetus became a great philosopher. He is living proof of a Stoic truth. True freedom does not come from outside, but begins within. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, left us another example. Despite holding supreme power, he constantly reminded himself that power, glory, and praise were but fleeting illusions. In his meditations, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. And you have the power to change your judgment right now." These are the words of an emperor, but also the whispered reminder of an ordinary human being striving daily to master himself. These stories, from the office meeting, from the sports arena, from a young man scrolling through social media, to the great philosophers of history, all remind us that focusing on yourself is not an abstract slogan. It lives in the small choices of each day. To stay calm or to lash out, to train again or to give up, to compare in vain or to focus on true values. And with patience, these small choices accumulate into great strength. In the end, focusing on yourself is learning to keep a steady hand on the helm amid storms. The outside world will still be noisy, challenges will still come. But when the mind is trained, we can move forward with calm, confidence, and resilience. This is the very path Stoicism laid out for us thousands of years ago. 6. The benefits of focusing on yourself. When a person truly learns to focus on themselves, the transformation does not arrive like thunder, nor does it pour down like a sudden rainstorm. It comes quietly, gently, like underground water seeping through the soil, patiently nourishing the roots, until one day the tree of life suddenly stands firm. These benefits are not miracles, but the natural result of inner training. The first and most evident benefit is an inner steadiness in the face of storms. In the past, a single criticism could keep us awake all night. An unexpected event could weigh us down for weeks. But when we learn to focus on ourselves, we gradually change. The mind becomes like the deep-rooted trunk of an ancient tree. Storms may sweep through, branches may tremble, but the roots remain unmoved. This does not mean numbness. On the contrary, we still grieve in loss, still feel pain in hardship, but grief and pain no longer drown us. They come and they go, leaving behind a mind that remains steady. The second benefit is energy redirected toward long-term goals. How many times have we wasted our strength on pointless arguments, on envy at others' success, or on anxieties we could never resolve? Each time, our energy leaked away like water, seeping through cracks in stone. When we focus on ourselves, we mend those leaks. Energy is no longer scattered, but gathered like a river that ceases to split into many small streams and becomes a single, powerful current, strong enough to carve valleys and create majestic waterfalls. The third benefit is confidence rooted in true values. When you focus on yourself, you no longer borrow confidence from admiring glances, nor feed it with fleeting praise. For you know where your worth comes from clear thinking, from steadfastness in action, and from the principles you uphold. This confidence does not boast, does not make noise. It is quiet but firm, like the surface of a still lake reflecting the clear blue sky. And that very stillness radiates a natural strength, drawing others to feel your steadiness. The next benefit is the ability to spread positivity. A person with inner steadiness is not easily dragged into hatred or quarrels. They know how to listen, how to empathize, and their calm presence becomes an anchor for those around them. Picture a small lamp in a dark room. It makes no noise, seeks no attention, yet its light is enough to reveal everything clearly. Those who focus on themselves are like that lamp, without proclamation. Simply by living calmly and firmly, they illuminate others. Finally, focusing on yourself allows you to live a life of depth. When you know clearly what belongs to you and what does not, you are no longer caught in the endless whirlpool of comparison and competition. You know how to pause, listen to your own heart, and find joy in a peaceful morning, an afternoon with a book, or a single slow breath. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." One who knows how to focus on themselves will no longer squander time on meaningless worries. They live each day with awareness. And it is precisely that awareness that makes their life feel broad and rich, even if the years are limited. Looking back, we see that focusing on yourself not only helps us stand firm against storms, but also opens a life of clarity, freedom, and vitality. It is like wiping clean a dusty mirror. Once clear, its reflection becomes honest, and the light shines brighter. And here lies the greatest reward. We become our true selves, strong, tranquil, and free. Only then can we live a life truly worth living. 7. Practice. The path of training. Stoic philosophy is not an ornament to be displayed in conversations. It is a philosophy of action born to be applied, to be lived, to serve as a compass in every ordinary moment. For if it remains only at the level of knowledge, that knowledge will eventually fade. Only when it becomes training do we truly focus on ourselves. Each morning, begin with awareness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Today I shall meet people who are irritable, selfish, and arrogant. but I will not let them take away my peace. A short sentence, yet, like a soldier adjusting his armor before battle. You too can choose a reminder for yourself. Today, I master my mind. Or, I will respond with reason, not emotion. When such a phrase rings in your mind at the start of the day, it becomes the red thread guiding your actions throughout. Throughout the day, you will face unexpected collisions, a stressful email, a heated debate, or an incident that overturns your plans. When impulsive emotions are about to erupt, pause. Just one breath. Inhale, exhale, and ask yourself, what can I control here? How will I respond in a way that preserves peace and dignity? That pause is like dropping an anchor into the depths, keeping your ship steady amidst rough waves. When night falls, spend a few minutes in self-examination. Seneca once said that each evening he asked himself, what did I do well today? Where did I fail? And how will I improve tomorrow? This is not for self-condemnation, but to cleanse the mind. You might write in a journal 3 things: what I controlled well, what I did not, and one thing I will change. Each page is a mirror. Day after day, you will see yourself growing more mature, steadier in how you live. And throughout the day, never forget to train through the smallest acts. Keep promises to yourself, even if it's just waking 15 minutes earlier. Wait patiently in line without irritation. Spend 5 minutes watching your breath instead of drowning in restlessness. These seemingly trivial acts are training for the mind. Each time you choose calm over anger, patience over haste, you strengthen an invisible muscle of self-mastery. Picture this process as a gym for the soul. On the first day you lift weights, your body shows no change. On the second day, still none. But after hundreds of days, the muscle begins to take form. The inner self is the same. Each time you choose focus over distraction, serenity over eruption, you are lifting a mental weight. And gradually, that strength takes shape. Not something the eyes can see, but something everyone can sense when they are around you. This path of training is not easy. It requires patience, repetition, and above all, honesty with yourself. But the reward is priceless. For once you have trained the mind, you will realize the world may be chaotic, but within you remains clarity. Others may flare up in anger, but you still carry composure. Life may change, but you walk steadily, with peace in your heart. Focusing on yourself is not just advice, it is a way of life. And that way of life is built on small steps, repeated daily. It is these very small steps, accumulated over years, that lead you to true freedom, the freedom of a mind that has learned to master itself. Conclusion. After all the experiences and reflections, we may pause and ask, what is the core gift that focusing on yourself brings us? The answer is not complicated. It is simple, yet profound. The ability to master oneself, to master thought, to master response, to master values. The outer world is always in flux. Praise today may turn into criticism tomorrow. Glory today may fade overnight. Fortune comes and goes like passing winds. If we anchor our happiness and worth upon such fragile things, we will forever live in insecurity. But if we return inward, focusing on the one thing we can truly control, our inner self, then we have found an unshakable foundation. Focusing on yourself is not withdrawing from life, nor is it selfishness. It is the art of building a fortress within. That fortress is not for hiding, but for stepping out into the world with serenity. When the mind has been trained, we can show up stronger, clearer, and more compassionate. Remember, every day is an opportunity to practice. Morning a short reminder, noon a pause to breathe before reacting, evening a few lines of reflection in a journal, and throughout the day small choices, calm instead of anger, patience instead of haste, focus instead of distraction. These small choices, repeated and accumulated over time, shape who you become. The greatest lesson is this: true freedom does not come from controlling others or external events, but from mastering yourself. When you master thought, response, and values, you cease to be a victim of the world. You become the one steering the ship of your life. Picture yourself holding a pen. Each day, you write upon a blank page. If you let others hold the pen, the story of your life will no longer be yours. But if you keep it firmly in your hand, you will write your own book. A book that may contain storms, but is filled with serenity, resilience, and meaning. The Stoics of 2,000 years ago left us this message. Epictetus, once a slave, became a great philosopher because he mastered the one thing he could: his mind. Marcus Aurelius, though an emperor, reminded himself that only the inner life was worthy of true investment. Seneca, amid both glory and danger, left us writings full of awareness and discipline. All spoke the same truth. Freedom is not the absence of outer chains, but the breaking of inner ones. And now, it is your turn. You do not need to be a philosopher or an emperor to walk this path. You need only the courage to return inward each day. Begin with the smallest things. Begin with a slow breath. Begin with a calm choice. And gradually, you will find your inner self steady like a mountain, tranquil like a lake, and clear like a lighthouse. The world may be chaotic, but you will no longer be swept away. Others may judge, but you will no longer be shaken. Life may change, but you will continue walking steadily, with peace in your heart. That is the greatest reward of focusing on yourself. True freedom. And with that freedom, you not only live for yourself, but become a light, a foundation, and an inspiration for those around you.